All right, guys. Market is down today from this Greenland news. Look at the SPY here. SPY's at 676. We had Netflix report earnings yesterday. They're at $81 a share. So a lot of stuff is dragging the market down. The Greenland worries from yesterday, tariffs, uh, and yeah, markets are definitely negatively reacting to all this. Yeah, so yesterday the president announced potential tariffs on European countries um, of 10% or more if they don't certain deadlines. We also had Netflix. Again, Netflix is down after earnings. And yeah, kind of a bloody market right now. Bitcoin all the way down to 88,000. Netflix down to 81s. SPY is at 677s. But you can see SPY dropped a lot yesterday as well. Yesterday was a very bloody market. All right, I'm just kind of taking a look at everything. Yeah. Yeah, so we'll see if we hold now. Again, we are not going to get a potential tariff decision today. That's one of the news that came out. We also had JP Morgan CEO on AI says banks have fewer jobs in give years that it does now. Your White House official says the president's speech in Davos is going to happen today. We had NBA 30-year mortgages that came out. They showed up at 6.16%. Previous, they were 6.18%. So they're down a little bit as well. Yeah, the president's going to be speaking, I believe, at 9:30. Right? So president speaking at 9:30 Eastern time, if I remember correctly. We'll watch that speech today. Yeah. I think they said 3:30 GMT. Yeah, now it's going to be at least until February 20th that we're going to get a Supreme Court decision potentially here. Man, the market's bloody right now. The SPY just went red, though, but it was pretty red yesterday and over the weekend. Yeah, so I don't know if he's on track to speak at 3:30 p.m. GMT. That's at about 10:30 Eastern. So that's going to be about an hour after the open if it happens. We'll see. Again, it's all depending on their schedule. So we don't know when it's going to be. We also have Starmer speaking right now. JP Morgan CEO says, I'm not a tariff guy in general. Starmer says it's foolhardy to rip up relationship with us. A senior White House official says the president's speech is going to focus on America first. May touch on Greenland and Venezuela. And again, he's supposed to speak anywhere between 9:30 and 10:30 Eastern time. Jamie Dimon also speaking says world also needs a stronger Europe. Says artificial intelligence may go too fast for society. And if you, I mean, here's the speech with him right now.
He's doing it to improve affordability, is to impose a 10% cap on credit card rates. Is that a bad idea?
It would be an economic disaster. And I'm not making up because our business, we would survive it. By the way, you would, if you, in the worst case, you'd have to have a drastic reduction of the credit card business. I mean drastic. I mean like 10%. I mean like 80%. It would remove credit from 80% of Americans, and that is their backup credit. But I have a great idea. Since there's a huge disagreement on this one, between Republicans and Democrats, I think we should test it. And in my view, and I can't do this, because it'd be antitrust, but the government can do it. They should force all the banks to do it in 2 states, Vermont and Massachusetts, and see what happens. And then I think the left will learn a real.
That's funny.
Everyone who thinks manipulating price will learn a real lesson. And the people crying the most won't be the credit card companies. It'll be the restaurants, the retailers, the travel companies, the schools, the municipalities, because people will miss their water payments, their this payment and that.
I don't know, man.
It would be something else to watch. I think they should test it.
I don't know. That's Jamie Dimon right there speaking on Apple credit card rates. I don't agree with everything the president does. But I think we should have a cap. It doesn't have to be a low cap necessarily, but there should be a cap. I don't think a cap on credit card interest is bad. I don't think having no cap on interest is a good idea. You know, I mean, I get it, competition, supply and demand, all that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that. I'm tempted to short the NASDAQ right here. Honestly, markets are down. We did have earnings this morning as well. Could you guys hear that? You should have been able to hear that. Let me turn my music down. I don't want it to be loud here. But yeah, you should have been able to hear that just to make sure. Yeah, Johnson & Johnson reported today. They posted 246. They expected 243, so a slight beat there. Revenue beat as well. We also had Halliburton. Charles Schwab is supposed to drop theirs in about 4 minutes for Charles Schwab earnings. Ally is supposed to drop theirs really right now for Ally. We'll see what they look like for their numbers also.
Health, immigration, we've messed up so many policies, which I write about. It's time to fix them, and I think the economists can help do that because you guys are really smart people. And so, and we constantly have this economic
Sound
policy.
all good?
We don't think it through. We've driven half the companies out of the public markets. What are we doing?
Yeah, so I hear a lot of people talking about what time the president speaks at Davos here. Let me check this. Yeah, so I also see OKLO was upgraded at Bank of America. FedEx was downgraded at Rothschilds & Co. Other ones. Yeah, so it's set for 8:30 to 9:15 a. So yeah, I mean 8:30 to 9:15 Eastern time. It is now 7:30, so that would be in about 45 minutes. So we'll see what the president does. Well, again, we'll stream it if it's there. My voice volume is low. Let me know if I'm too low voice-wise. I could turn it up. Yeah, Netflix ended up beating EPS and revenue, but it's down. I think the Warner Bros. Deal is, what people are scared of here regarding Netflix. Honestly, realistically, I'll probably add some more Netflix here. Yeah, I'm just gonna try to add more. The heck is playing right now? What that was? But yeah, I added a little bit more to my Netflix trade. I could probably add a little bit more too. Yeah. I'm just gonna sit on the rest. I'm not gonna add any more, probably. Don't turn up the mic. Voice can come up just a tad. Okay, I put it pretty much closer to me now. Yeah, it says ECB's Lagarde left Davos VIP dinner after Lutnick slammed Europe. I don't know what that means, but natural gas prices are rising up another 25%. They posted their largest two-day gain in history as an Arctic blast sweeps across the United States. Natty gas prices are now up 60% in 2 days for natural gas. Here's natural gas right here. Or no, natural gas is NG. There, /NG. Yeah, look at natural gas, guys. Almost $5 here. 4.75s right now. Crazy moves for natural gas this morning on the cold weather coming in. Again, we can watch the Davos conversation here. We got this one up.
We're running out of
It
time.
goes to all these interest groups, and they give it to their friends and all that, and which is why the people are considered a swamp. It's kind of a swamp. There's 17,000 lobbying groups, but bank companies are guilty too. They're just fighting for their one self-interest as opposed to what's good for my country. But that's what happens in Congress. and you see how these bills get spent. Like the CHIPS Act was a good idea until it had to be unions, place-based, child care, diapers. What the hell are we doing? And we do it over and over, and then it fails, and then we spend more money because the problem is we didn't spend enough money.
This is Jamie Dimon,
so you're a man with
CEO of
many
JP
strong
Morgan.
Opinions. We've
Yes.
heard that in the last few minutes. Man, not afraid to tell us about those opinions. But I was struck when we were talking about President Trump. You were very, very careful. And you are one of the more outspoken. Just let me finish. Well, you are one of the more outspoken business leaders. I am struck. I'm genuinely struck by the unwillingness of CEOs in America to say anything critical. There is a climate of fear in your country. Would you agree with that? And what should be done about it?
This is the Davos intellectual elite. I've been coming to Davos all these years and listening to chatter and stuff like that. He didn't do a particularly good job making the world a better place. I think it's great we get together and talk. But what you want me to do, this is.
I want you to answer my question. It's not hard.
One headline that gets raised up.
No, I don't. Jamie, that's not true. I'm genuine. I've asked you this question off camera.
I've made it clear. I want a stronger NATO, a stronger Europe. Some of the things Trump has done are causing that. Some are not. I'm not a tariff guy, though I'd use it in the 8 cases I had. I think they should change their approach to immigration. I've said it. What the hell else do you want me to say?
Is there a climate of fear?
Got him.
I think that's completely clear.
Okay.
Hey, ready? You can.
Yeah, it's a little bit too political for me. Hold on.
For a headline. I'm trying to.
I don't know. If I'm a public company CEO, I'm not going to be critical of the president either. You know why? Because I'm a public company CEO. Politics and business don't usually mesh well, especially banking. So, yeah. I'm not even mad. And that's basically it. That's the end of the meeting here. But all right, guys, I should have shorted this too. Honestly, what I'm looking at on the NASDAQ is 25,000 right here. 25K is right here. Yeah, the president's supposed to speak. He's supposed to speak. I'm showing it's anywhere, but and I'll watch this whole thing. I'll watch this whole thing. But he's supposed to. He didn't really say. Schwab Q4 total net assets are 158.2 billion. They expected 144 billion. So Schwab actually came in with some pretty good numbers here. Here's Schwab. They're still reacting negatively, and something that we're seeing from earnings season this year is even though companies beat EPS and revenue, sometimes companies miss EPS and revenue and go up, and sometimes companies beat EPS and revenue and go down. So Schwab just reported earnings. They posted 133 EPS though, so they actually missed their EPS margins for Schwab. They posted revenue of 6.34. They expected 6.34, but Schwab missed EPS and came in flat for margins here. Yeah, nobody's censoring anything. I mean, look, I covered what I could. I don't want to leave that up the whole time. I don't think that's like I'll cover the president speaking and all that stuff, but I also don't think, I think it's understandable if public companies want to stay friendly with the president. I think that's pretty standard. That's pretty normal. Why? Because they don't want those type of problems, and I don't think as a public company any of them do, really, especially banking companies like JP Morgan. And so I think it's pretty normal to stay friendly with the president. Again, Schwab is down after missing EPS and coming in flat for revenue. We also have, what's the other company that reports right at 8:30? It should have been out already too. Let me see. I don't really see it yet though. Schwab. Yeah, so it was scheduled for 7:30 Eastern time, or 8:30 Eastern time. Again, the president is supposed to speak at the World Economic Forum in Davos, which is an annual gathering of world leaders, policymakers, business figures, and more. It's supposed to be at 8:30 Eastern time. So at 8:30 today, speaks. We'll see what he says. We'll cover it since it is somewhat market moving and the market's crazy right now. Also, Bessent dismissed the concerns of European leaders over the president's, push for Greenland to be acquired by the United States. He basically told them to sit down and wait to hear what the president says at Davos. He called the French President Macron's criticism of the U.S. threats over Greenland, quote unquote, inflammatory, and said critics of the president's plan should wait to hear what he says. He said, quote, "I will tell everyone, take a deep breath. Do not have this reflexive anger that we've seen and this bitterness," end quote. He told journalists that. He said, "Why don't they sit down, wait for the president to get here and listen to his argument, because I think they're going to be persuaded," end quote. He also, ultimately dismissed worries over a potential wider sell-off of U.S. Treasury bonds after yesterday's Danish pension fund said it would sell off its U.S. bonds due to poor government finances. And so that's what's going on today. Again, JP Morgan speaking in that context. Again, the president's speech is scheduled for 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We will stream this live as it happens. So he was explaining himself, though. You mean Diamond? Yeah, I mean, he was basically done. The only thing he said after I turned it off was that he kind of had like a smart aleck response, is what he said. I'm not disagreeing with him. I'm just saying he kind of trolled her a little bit in response, is what he did. And so it's not like I'm censoring that. They were basically done, and then the stream went off right after I put it down. So it's not like I turned it off because I was worried about what he would say. I turned it off because I didn't want to let, if it was somebody bigger, maybe I would cover what they like, the full entire speech. But when it's just Diamond talking with one of the leaders there, we can cover it. But and again, the big story is Davos today. Let's do a poll here. Do markets rebound after the red week so far? Or do markets rebound today or continue down? The question I'm gonna ask: do markets rebound or continue down? Also, guys, look at silver. Silver at 95s, gold way up here at 4,800. Gold looks like it's going to break $5,000 an ounce. It got up to almost 4,900. And so gold's the really interesting one that looks like it's going to break $500 or $5,000 an ounce. It's up there. It's about $130 away right now from hitting $5,000 an ounce. Okay, so the president apparently, I just got news that the president has scheduled around 5 separate bilateral meetings, which are one-on-one meetings with different European leaders on the sideline of Davos. They are private leader-to-leader sessions, likely focused on Greenland tariffs and broader NATO trade issues. But yeah, he set that going on. Yeah, look at the NASDAQ still coming down. Again, gold, Netflix, Schwab. We had Ally earnings as well. A lot of stuff is down this earnings season, though. Most markets are down from this earnings season. Again, Netflix kind of started it last night. Yeah, Netflix kind of started this last night. Market's kind of crazy already, guys. So Yeah, so again, the president speaking live, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. So again, we will stream this live. Should be interesting. You guys think the market will react positively or negatively to this? Again, Schwab posted earnings. Netflix is down. Gold is elevated. Bitcoin is down. Netflix posted Q4 earnings yesterday, but markets didn't like it. A lot of companies have beat EPS and revenue but gone down. NASDAQ still falling here. Look, I'm looking at 25,000 on the NASDAQ. You can look at the SPY here as well. SPY is at 676. Yeah, so Netflix beat Q4 numbers. A little bit lower guidance, softer 26, early 26 outlook. So they sold off. So a little bit worse outlook. They guided revenue growth to 12 to 14%, which they originally expected 17%. Q1 profit guidance came in below expectations, slowing net ads off of 325 million sub base. Worries about Warner Bros. And more is making Netflix fall. So. Yeah, so they just actually, I'm sorry, Netflix posted 17% revenue growth, but now they're expecting only 12 to 14% moving forward. So Q1 profit guidance as well came in below expectations, as well as revenue guidance. And they're also worries about Warner Bros. Is the reason why they're down. So we'll put this up. But again, I'm showing the president's supposed to speak at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Also, Alphabet, Wedbush raises the price target to 360 from 350. And we did get news that the president had about 5 bilateral meetings with European leaders in Davos. Oh, see if we hold now. Netflix said we'll no longer be buying back stocks. Yeah. Do you think the T-bill dump has anything to do with stablecoin yield being stripped? I don't know. I think it has to do with Japan. It has to do with, Europe now as well after yesterday. Markets are just nervous. What I think the T-bill dump did. Like yesterday, remember, Japanese government bond yields have been spiking, which means that bonds are getting sold off essentially overseas. We also had Johnson & Johnson to have earnings today, so people are worried about yields or about bonds right now, of course. And if you look at yields this morning, I don't think I've looked at them actually yet this morning. If you look at yields, they're still elevated. Early this week they were at what, like 4.18%. Last week they're at 4.18% or so. This week they're almost at 4.3%. And so you can see just the moves that yields, have made this week so far. Like, look at yields right now. So yields have made some big moves higher here just over the last week. Very big moves. Yields and interest rates follow each other as well, so it looks like we're going to maybe be more restrictive. But this also has to do with probably bonds getting sold off. Well, yeah, it's probably a little bit of both. It's the president's, stuff going on right now causing uncertainty. It's Japan's stuff going on right now causing uncertainty. There's just a lot of different things going on. Yeah, it's looking like we're not going to get a tariff decision today regarding the Supreme Court. And what it means is we're probably not going to get a tariff decision until February 20th is the next potential date. And so I thought they might schedule an opinion date today, but they did not. And so the next potential date we might get opinions on everything is February 20th, I'm pretty sure. So we got basically a month, guys, until we're going to get maybe a tariff decision. Maybe longer. Yeah, Bitcoin down to 88,000. I wouldn't call it a bloodbath. I think Bitcoin has mostly been flat for, how long have Bitcoin been dropping? I think if you put up like a monthly chart, Bitcoin's mostly flat since 2020, mid 2025. Bitcoin was down here in April. We've been mostly flat. And I know some people might not agree with that, but I think Bitcoin has gone from 80,000 up to 90, high 90s, back down to 80s, back up to 90s, back down to 80s. And so I think we're kind of flat there. I don't think it's the worst thing we could ever be here. We're definitely down over the last few days, but if you zoom out here, Bitcoin is going down and up and down and up and down. And so I don't think we should put on our panic goggles yet for Bitcoin and crypto. But I definitely much rather it over 90s. And again, it's close enough. Maybe we'll get that today. Yeah, man, the freaking Supreme Court, like, dude, just tell us when we're going to get the tariff decision. Don't say, oh, we might get one. Honestly, it's generally better for my stream because I can keep covering the potential decision, and then we don't get one, I can cover it again the next day. The problem is that it's bad procedure. Just tell us, say, hey, this is the day we're going to get the tariff decision, and then give us the tariff decision on that specific day. I don't know why they do it the way they do. Sign me up. Let me build up that efficiency there, I'll set the procedures. Yeah, gold, silver. Gold, I think, has a chance, depending on what the president says today, I think gold has a chance to break $5,000 an ounce. Gold is at 4,800s right now, 4,850s. It's literally $150, $140 away from $5,000 an ounce for gold futures. So it's close. Yeah, so again, and the president, again, is supposed to speak at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, which is in about 42 minutes or so. We'll see what he says. Will he say good things? Will he say good things? I'm not going to short silver either. I'm long in silver. We had a pretty good day yesterday, though. Day trading. We really did have a pretty good day yesterday, day trading. Let's see what we got. Yeah, I'm to the point where I might start. What do I do? Okay. Plan on buying Netflix. Yeah, Netflix has a low PE. They're getting into live sports. They've got a lot of stuff going on. They might potential buy Warner Bros. And all that stuff going on. I think still makes me want to hold Netflix long term. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Not an investment professional here. Understand all the stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything, but I still like Netflix. I still like Netflix. I think Netflix is still really interesting. Yeah, so Meta Superintelligence Lab delivered key AI models internally. CTO Andrew Bosworth describing them as very good at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Coinbase encircled back Bermuda's plan for a fully on-chain national economy, and Palantir expanded a strategic partnership with South Korea's HD Hyundai into a multi-year hundreds of millions of dollar agreement to deploy AI platforms and Foundry software across multiple businesses. Yeah, look at the market pop here. Nvidia's bouncing up a little bit. You know what stock I haven't heard a lot from lately is Apple. Is it getting left behind in the age of AI? I mean, I like Apple as a company. I still like Apple. I've probably bought genuinely 15 pairs of AirPods in the last 3 or 4 years. It's not my fault. I blame it on my daughter and my son who grab my AirPods, use them, and then lose them. So I gotta buy another one. But all I know is Apple's making money. Apple's making money. Yeah, let me make sure. Let me see what they're doing at Davos here. Okay, I think right now they're having a conversation with Merrick Dusek and Mohammed Mustafa. This is kind of more geoeconomics and politics, but yeah. Apple buying AI from Google. Yeah, Berkshire selling. Netflix looking to reshape Hollywood. Will be a pioneer. Yeah, but I think Netflix already has reshaped Hollywood, though, brother. I think that's already done. You know, I think most movies are coming out streaming now. The theaters are getting less and less attention, and so essentially, what we're gonna have now is more movies that are. We're gonna have more worse movies. I'm not saying they're all gonna be bad. Some of the Netflix movies are gonna be good, I'm sure. And there's been some ones that I've liked. There haven't been a lot of Netflix movies that I've really, really liked, though. Like, you know, if you let me watch Chris Nolan movies or, you know, Tarantino movies or, you know, Paul Thomas Anderson or whatever his name is. You let me watch some of those guys. Great movies, you know. You don't really see a lot of Netflix up to that scale, though. Netflix movies, direct-to-streaming movies. You don't see a lot of it. But I think even the big movies like that are spending less time in theaters. They're getting less attention. So Netflix has already changed the world in that context, I think. And I think now we're going to start seeing... I didn't watch The Rip. But I think what we're going to start seeing now is... was The Rip good? I heard different people talking about it. But yeah, I think what we're going to start seeing... Again, it's just more movies, potentially lower scale, lower standard of movies, but more. We're going to start seeing more. And we're going to start seeing live sports on Netflix. We already kind of are. I think that dynamic's going to grow as well. And so I generally am bullish in Netflix, but short term, who knows what it's going to do. But if I sit on it long term, I'm probably going to be fine. I heard it wasn't good. The Rip? I heard it wasn't good. Because I liked like Good Will Hunting, great movie. You know? Anyways, guys, Google's falling here. Davos. Yeah, whatever. All right, guys. NASDAQ still pretty choppy. Is the NASDAQ waiting for the Davos speech? Again, Lagarde walks out as U.S. officials lash Europe, whatever that means. Christine Lagarde, the president of ECB, European Central Bank, left a private Davos dinner during remarks by Howard Lutnick, U.S. Commerce Secretary, that criticized Europe's energy policies and economic competitiveness. He walked out, and it occurred as he delivered sustained criticism of Europe, drawing mixed reactions from attendees. Some interpreted his remarks as a rebuttal to European leaders' public defenses of the bloc's unity and financial strength earlier at Davos. ECB, European Central Bank, declined to comment, and Lutnick's office did not respond to a request for comment either. So, we also have OpenAI CFO says Stargate campus more than halfway built out. U.S. Energy Secretary Wright tells oil execs Venezuela output can rise 30% in short and medium term. And again, the president is supposed to speak at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Let me get a timer up here today, guys. Let me get a timer. I got you guys. What is this in? This is going to be... Yeah, so this is about 33 minutes or so from now. Bitcoin, let's see if it bounces back here. Most big tech stocks are down, and I think what I'm worried about, to be honest, for this earnings season is that we've seen a lot of companies report earnings. We've seen a lot of companies report earnings and have okay earnings, but negatively react to them. And so what I'm worried about this earnings season is that we're going to have companies report earnings, and we haven't had a lot of Mag 7. The only thing we've really seen is Netflix. Mag 7 earnings come out next week. I'm worried about how markets react to that, because so far we're pretty red this week. It's been a bloody week in markets. So I'm worried that this earnings season is going to exacerbate those problems, and that we're also just going to see a lot of Mag 7 stocks have negative reactions. I might be wrong here. Again, I really don't know. That's what I'm worried about. It doesn't mean that's what's going to happen, but that's my fear, is that markets are going to be too strict with these earnings. If Netflix is a sign, lowering guidance, even though they beat EPS and revenue, lowering guidance for this year, if that might, hopefully, is not a sign for the rest of the year, and it's specifically for this earnings season. Because if companies come in and post weak numbers, or markets just don't like whatever numbers they do post, I'm just worried we're going to see like a chain reaction here. Again, this is what I'm worried about, not necessarily what's going to happen. The Greenland worries and tariff news is not necessarily helping. And at this point, we don't get a tariff decision by the Supreme Court for at least a month. Yeah, remember the other day with Cramer? Didn't Cramer say to buy yesterday or something? I can't remember what he said. I remember seeing it, though, because I watched Cramer. Gold, again, very possible to break $5,000. All-time high is 48.91s now for gold. Again, we are $132 away from $5,000 an ounce for gold. Yeah, I mean, whoever, Jay and Jay Stores and who else? Brian. Y'all both say something nice about each other. Sit in the corner. Say something nice. All right. I'll start. All right. Both of you guys are commenting in my chat, and I appreciate that. All right, I appreciate it. Now, you guys, your turn. You don't have to say anything nice about me, because I'm the nicest guy ever. All right. Say something nice about each other. You never seen a real sell-off? Now experience is talking. Most get wiped. Oh, I've seen some sell-offs. I was here April 1st, 2025. That was a sell-off. I was here in 2020. Sell-off. There you go, Jay. I appreciate it. There you go. I guess you're right, Brian. Love your market analysis. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it. I mean, you don't have to say anything nice about me, you know. There's no real sell-off for 6 years. Yeah, I mean, 2020 we got a sell-off. April we got a sell-off. We had a bear market too in one of those years. I'm trying to remember. I've been streaming for a while, you know. We've had some movements in markets. It's been fun, you know. What I do appreciate is you guys genuinely trying to like make it peaceful. Look, You know. Do we rebound though? Again, we did a poll this morning. And we asked people, do markets rebound today or continue down? 56% think the red market continues. 56%. So a decent majority relative to what the chat split usually is. Usually it's closer than this. So 56% majority is pretty significant. Again, right now at Davos, again, this World Economic Forum annual meeting is called, quote, the spirit of dialogue, end quote. What a nice name. The president's set to speak at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time today. He might be late. Sometimes he is late. We'll see what happens. But, yeah, right now they're doing on guard deep sea to orbit, I think. Yeah, I think it's actually over, so. Yeah, where's MU at right now with all this craziness? Again, Netflix is down after lowering its guidance for this year. Small beat and lowering guidance makes markets react negatively. MU's still pumping, though. MU's at 375s. Hit 380s yesterday at the opening bell. What about AMD? I see gold still pretty elevated today. NASDAQ is still pretty flat. I think NASDAQ might be just waiting for the president's speech today to see how it's going to respond. Again, AMD still green on the day. Nvidia is still green on the day. Google's red. Meta is slightly green. Microsoft is red. Apple is slightly red, but mostly flat. A lot of things are flat, slightly red, slightly green today. But understand, yesterday was one of the. I think I saw a stat, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong. Yesterday was the single worst day, the single worst pullback in markets since October of last year. Is that correct? I think that's correct. Yesterday was the single largest pullback in markets since October. So yesterday was a red day, and so markets are still flat today. Maybe we rebound. Who knows? But yeah, we got Intel earnings after the bell. Right, yesterday, single largest red day since October. Again, the BlackRock COO says AI deals show financial engineering creativity. Again, 8:30 Eastern time today is when the president's supposed to speak. Again, we will stream this entire thing live. Bear market started in October. I don't know if it's a bear market necessarily. S&P recently broke all-time highs. You know, broke 7,000. So it just depends on what we're looking at, to be honest. Taiwan Semiconductor is better than Nvidia. I like TSM. It's up 331s today after dropping to 327s. I'm assuming most of these dropped yesterday. Yeah. A lot of these opened up red yesterday just because the Greenland stuff going on over the weekend caused just fierce tariffs. You know, the president threatened 10% tariffs or more if they don't hit certain deadlines for cooperation regarding essentially Greenland is what it was. European countries obviously are not happy about that, and you know there's kind of a problems going on between the US and Europe now after these quotes. Markets are more unstable and worrisome. Again, gold and silver have been highly elevated over the last 2 days in markets. Gold is potentially going to break $5,000 an ounce today. Silver is a little bit more quiet, but still not necessarily quiet. But silver is up to almost $95 an ounce again. Bitcoin backing up to 80 or going back up to 89,000 almost, moving up a little bit. Market should rebound today. Yeah, we will see what we get here today, guys. What's up, Steve? Yeah, y'all do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. Follow me on x.com at Beginner Trades. We appreciate that as well. All right, so the next speech, let's see what they're talking about now. Building AI for the long term. I'm curious to see what they say on this one here.
It's very natural to come down that funnel because you've had a very deep conversation. You might have started by saying, hey, I'm expecting a new baby. I really need a new baby stroller. What are the best out there in the market? But here's my price point. With memory, ChatGPT actually really understands a lot of this already, might give you some interesting other ways to think about that purchase. And then what we hear our users saying is, help me just consummate it. And that's where a very interesting conversation with an advertiser can begin. But I think appropriately so, because you're adding value to the end user. And I think that, again, we have to remember our North Stars. That's actually why we started by publishing our principles first before we even started testing.
I'm going to go to questions in a moment. But Peng, you brought up China and...
yeah, so now they're talking about AI.
I had 15 minutes before I walked into this room. I was talking to an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so we're going to wait. We're not going to just stream the entire Davos meeting here. NASDAQ's pushing back up, though, here. So NASDAQ's climbing higher. Silver's moving down some. And it's actually red on the day. NVIDIA climbing higher at 179. Recently broke under 180s. Let's see if we can get back over 180s. AMD microchips climbing higher. NVIDIA, AMD, tech. Netflix is still down. So yeah, this looks like mostly AI and microchip moves. Maybe because of what they're saying on the... maybe because of what they're saying on AI, but... yeah, AI has already changed the world. That's why, like, you get people saying, oh, AI is not going to do anything, or AI is just... of course it is. Coinbase CEO said we're seeing the birth of a new monetary system, the Bitcoin standard. Again, the president arrived at Davos. The president did arrive at Davos here. We're supposed to have 20 minutes until he speaks. All right, we're up to 81s right now, 81s. How much time we got? We got a little bit of time here. I don't know what I want to do with this. You make me sign out. Okay, here. Let's fix this. All right, so again, the president's supposed to speak at Davos. Davos. Sorry, y'all corrected me. Okay, there we go. Well, it's going to short this. We're right around the 200 exponential and also right around 25 100s here. So I do want to see if we... oh, come on. All right. Come on. All right, here. I think I got to do it this way. Is it really being this strict with it now? Come on. Guess I can't have more than one session up at a time. All right, I'm going to short this, I think, a little bit here. I'm going to take 3 contracts right now. 3 contracts. It's a little risky. I want to hear what they're saying on AI. But we can try. Might add a little bit more to this if we get a clean rejection under 25 100s. I think 25,000 is very close to where we are now. Take 4 here. Pick another 5. We have 5 micros already here. I want to see if it rejects under 25 100s. Is what I'm looking for. Again, the president is set to speak at 20 minutes or so, a little bit less than that actually. Yeah, so we're gonna start cutting this position. We took a swing. Oh my gosh, I just added way too much size to this. Dude, I do this way too much. I'll give it a second, but I don't really like this now. See if we can reject back down. Get a little bit easier on me. There we go. That's actually a little bit better. I'm gonna start reducing my size now. Oh, Nightbot deleted you. I don't know why. Farmer. I guess I'm gonna try to double down on this here. Take half off right there. Lock that in. We still got 3 contracts left. We did reject. I should have waited for that 200 exponential price point though right here. This is probably the level to short it. Again, president's supposed to speak in 17 minutes. 17 minutes. Yeah, there's slippage sometimes. You can do the bid or the ask. But with scalping, I just kind of get in and out quick. So. I don't know how long I want to short unless we start to get some momentum in, just because I think market's already down a lot. So. I'm going to remember to cut it at the right time now, though. So we lose here. We lost a little bit, but it wasn't honestly that much. 36. 5. Yeah, we lost like $75. Pretty small. U.S. Trade Representative Greer says a SCOTUS ruling against the president's tariffs would be problematic. What he says. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz and the president would no longer meet one-on-one in Davos today due to the president's delayed arrival. The president had to return to the U.S. and change planes overnight. Yeah, so U.S. Trade Representative Greer said if the Supreme Court rules against the president's tariffs, it would be hugely problematic, is what he said. Hugely problematic. No sound? There's sound. So again, the whole market's basically waiting for the president to speak today at 8:30. Well, that's what's going on. But currently, they're on building the AI for long term. It's supposed to be over. In 1 minute. So I should have held that short at the 200 exponential. Yeah, the president's not speaking right now. You can see the only live sessions they have right now at the World Economic Forum is building AI for the long term. So this is the live sessions right now. It's building AI for the long term. That's all we got right now. It's definitely not the president speaking here. The president speaks at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Usually it's a little late too. But again, Trade Representative Greer said rare earths are flowing from China. He said it may take a series of agreements or arrangements with China. We don't know if we get a comprehensive trade deal with China in the Fox Business interview. Yeah, so this is basically the only thing going on right now.
I'm trying to put a little something in the water for
this is we have all drunk the Kool-Aid. We're all on board.
AGI pill.
Yeah. Okay. We'll go with that one.
This is what's going on in Davis right now, so it's definitely not the president
What
speaking.
we're doing exists in a broader backdrop, and there are geopolitical. There are there are a lot of things that occur outside of our important but narrow, or at least narrow and expanding. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'll stream up speech.
Line of business. So what worries me? There's geopolitical.
Trade Rep
interactions that
Greer
can, distort
says
the market. They can, in terms of protectionism, they can distort the market in terms of cost of capital. It can distort the market in terms of accessibility. It can do all kinds of wild gyrations. And if I were to put on the top of my list what I think about from how I manage risk at our company, which I spend an enormous amount of time on, that's got to be first and foremost.
Okay.
I jumped on that because I knew.
A very quick question, because I want to make sure to get to one, and we're going to end right on time.
y'all are about 2
AI
minutes late, but
much
it's
faster
okay.
than planetary systems can regenerate. So my question is, what will hit first, regulation or water, energy, and carbon? And who should be responsible for that?
So I'll start, but the builders of the underlying should also definitely chime in. So I was going to answer both your questions, I was going to say speed and the ability to bring people along so that they trust, right? If we all, we live it, we breathe it every single day, but if you are just a kind of normal person living your life out there in the world, this can all feel like kind of tech gobbledygook is one of my favorite words. And there's a lot of trust that still has to be earned. And I do worry that we talk in tech talk, not in real people speak. What does this actually mean for me? If I'm a mom of a diabetic kid, I work hard all day, I come home, I've got 30 minutes to cook dinner, and it needs to be healthy for my child, how are you gonna help me? And the answer has to be, actually, I've got this thing on your phone called ChatGPT. You could take a photograph of your fridge right now. It'll give you a recipe. You can cook in 30 minutes or less. That is exactly what your kid can have. You're like, hallelujah, thank you. And so then to come to your question, I think we also have to build trust in communities. Communities who are going to have a data center springing up. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's going to bring me jobs, or is it going to ruin my community? Is it going to use my water, or are they going to be thoughtful about it? Is it going to raise my electricity prices, or are they going to help protect my community? Because I still have to put bread on the table for my child.
All right, guys, so
I think we all have
we're waiting on the president to speak. He's supposed to speak at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time at the World Economic Forum. We're just kind of sitting tight, waiting for him to start. Again, the president arrived late after an Air Force One delay, but his speech is still expected. We had Jamie Dimon speak. We had Scott Bessent saying Deutsche Bank rejected claims that Europeans are dumping U.S. assets. Christine Lagarde walked out of a private dinner during a provocative speech by Howard Lutnick, and more. So this is what's going on right now. Again, this is the only live session right now that's going on. It was an AI-centered one. And yeah, right now we're just kind of waiting here. We're just waiting for the speech to start. We'll see if it starts at 8:30. Again, the president apparently arrived late to this, and so we'll see if he ends up speaking at 8:30. But will the president start on time? Let me know. Again, Trade Representative Greer did say a SCOTUS rejection of the tariffs would be problematic. Yeah, so we're supposed to have a special address by the president. That's about 45 minutes long. It's supposed to be from 2:30 to 9:15. Or no, I'm sorry, 8:30 to 9:15. So, sitting tight waiting here. Still have about 10 minutes until it's supposed to start. And he might start late as well, so we don't really know. I'll turn the music up for now. But, yeah, Bitcoin back up to 88.7. I should have held that short, guys. I should have held. That's all right. UK Chancellor Reeve says nothing can be ruled out when asked if a U.S. tariff retaliation is possible. However, he did stress that the goal is a reduction in trade barriers. Yeah, he never starts on time. That's probably true. What's the mood in your country right now with the president? Are you not tired of him? I mean, I'm neutral on all this stuff. Like, I'm not going to really get into it. Markets are interpreting everything as fearful and uncertain, though. So we've had a pretty red time in markets. Good day. Yeah, we've had a pretty red time in markets. So we'll see if markets rebound back up. We did a poll earlier. 55% think the red market continues today. And ultimately, a lot of it depends on what the president says. So we will see. Type of opening conference going on right now. Yeah, I need to drop some merch that said I should have held for sure. Because I should have held. Maybe it'll remind me. Alright, the EU seeks to reform WTO's most favored nation principle. Again, so far at Davos, president arrived late. Jamie Dimon said capping credit card interest rates would hurt the economy. So, I mean, I don't know really how to... look, I'm not one that dislikes everything a president supports. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not the most biased person on either side of this. All I know is I think putting a cap on super high interest credit cards is good. Like, it's obviously good. Anybody arguing that it's not good, like, of course it's good. Now, does that cap need to be low? No. You can have a higher cap, you know, but I think a cap in itself is good. Why? Because I think when people are really struggling financially, they don't care what the interest is. They're going to get it regardless, and it's going to put them into longer term debt. And so I'm also not really shocked that a credit card company, essentially like a bank, saying, hey, let's not put caps on credit card interest. Of course they don't want that. But okay, so the Norway fund is apparently staying invested in the U.S. markets. Norway's finance minister said there's no reason for the country's $2.1 trillion sovereign wealth fund to pull out of U.S. markets despite geopolitical tensions. He said the fund's U.S. exposure reflects the size of the American market and will remain unchanged following the news yesterday that a Danish pension fund plans to reduce treasury holdings. Because we did get news yesterday that a Danish pension fund is getting out of U.S. treasuries. Hey, bud. Love you, dude. Have a good day, bro. Yeah, we did get news yesterday that a Danish pension fund is unloading their U.S.-backed assets. All right, guys, we got 5 minutes. Again, nothing's really going on. They're doing some type of concert right now. And so we're going to cover this. It's supposed to be at 8:30. We'll see. We're waiting here. Guys, we're waiting. Again, Norway staying in U.S. markets, apparently. Yeah. Yeah, maybe one day I'll get this. Hold on. Again, 8:30 to... The president's supposed to speak 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Again, WAF is just doing their annual meeting. Right now they're doing what's called an opening concert. But yeah, so we're just sitting here waiting here, guys. President's supposed to speak at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. So we're just waiting for it here. Again, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. NASDAQ did reject here. Again, we're sitting tight waiting for this to start. Again, 8:30 to 8. Again, the question is, does he start on time? I really don't know. I really don't know if he starts on time. He apparently arrived late, is what we saw here. So again, apparently he arrived late. So we're on the World Economic Forum. We're just waiting for them to start here. So we'll see what we get, but just waiting for them to start. Yeah, so look, we're here. We got it up. We actually have the full speech here. So again, it will begin shortly, guys. It will begin shortly. I will make myself small. Put myself in the corner over here. And make this large. So far, nothing yet here. There we go. That should be pretty good right here. Let me get the music turned on. I'm gonna mute the music here just in case we start here, guys. I'm gonna turn the volume up. We're gonna make the volume very loud as well. Oh my gosh, they have that whole music loud. All right, we're waiting here though, guys. Session will begin shortly. It says. We'll see what the market does here. I'll put the full screen up here so that we can actually see. All right, we're just gonna make me sign in everywhere we go. I'm gonna put the regular S&P up here. Or actually, I might just put. I'd rather toss charts up. We could put these two charts up right here. Maybe like Bitcoin on the bottom. Actually, Bitcoin's kind of hard to set up like. And then we could put the SPY in Q up here. See what these do. So lower this down. All right, so here's the NASDAQ and the SPY right now. We're waiting for the session to start here. Guys, we're waiting for the session to start. We will see. We will see, but here's the SPY and the NASDAQ. Waiting for this to start. Nothing yet. You know. So I'll let you guys know. We'll get the volume up well. Again, the speech is really supposed to start any time now. Yeah, so I'm looking at a couple different sources here. Waiting for the speech to start. Yes, Canadian PPI just dropped as well. Again, we're waiting on this is the WEF, World Economic Forum. Waiting here for the president to speak. Let's see if he starts on time. We're sitting tight waiting here. We got a bunch of different sources up. Exit out of some of this stuff. Again, nothing on the president yet. Still waiting for the session to begin. Nothing yet. Waiting here, guys. Waiting. Yeah, we had Canadian industrial production numbers show up at negative 0.6%. They expected 0.3%. And again, we're here. We got a couple different sources up. We're just kind of waiting for this speech to start now. Sitting tight, waiting. Nothing yet. Supposed to be Boris Brinde, Donald Trump, and Lawrence D. Fisk. And we are now waiting. Yeah, again, the president apparently arrived late to this. Yeah, I'm not going to get too deep into either side of the political sphere here. Or, but markets are reacting negatively ahead of this. Look at NASDAQ's down. SPY is down today. Maybe we could throw like a Bitcoin chart up. It'd have to be maybe Bitcoin future put up on the bottom. Maybe gold or silver might be better futures. But again, we're sitting tight waiting for this to start here today, guys. Maybe throw a Bitcoin up right here so you guys can just see it while this is going on. But good Bitcoin future too. Gold or silver up, maybe interchangeably. But again, President set to speak. We're just waiting for it to start. You can see I'm on the actual World Economic Forum website here, and we are live. You actually can't rewind it at all. So we are here. We're waiting here. So we are just sitting tight, waiting for this thing to start. Let's see what happens. Again, markets are down after the president and threatened tariffs on European countries yesterday. We had the worst red day yesterday since October of last year. And so now we're just sitting tight waiting for the president to speak again, since it is so influential to markets here, guys. We're just sitting tight waiting for the president to speak again. And we'll see what he says. Hey, Happy New Year to everybody here. I appreciate you guys joining me. Again, we cover all major economics. We cover economic data. We cover earnings. We cover stock market news every single day, live, free. We don't sell a course, don't sell a service, don't even claim to be a good trader. We trade live. We cover economics mostly. We've been doing it for years, since before it was the cool thing to do. So y'all hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see what we get today. I'm pretty politically neutral as well. I know a lot of you guys are really rooting for one side or the other. And look, guys, I'm pretty neutral. I'm not gonna delve into that. Either way, I'm pretty politically neutral. Yeah, he's definitely not speaking. Here is the annual meeting right now. I'm also looking at multiple different sources. And yeah, he's definitely not speaking. If he was speaking, we would be getting quotes coming from him on social media as well, and we're not getting that. So he's definitely not speaking. He's supposed to speak right now, but again, he arrived late. Everybody's just kind of sitting tight, waiting for this to start now, is what it is. Everybody's sitting tight, waiting for this to start. We're going to wait for it to start as well. But yeah, so far, no quotes coming in. They haven't actually started the live stream on the WEF. I'm looking at like C-SPAN here. I don't see anything either. They're kind of just covering old news. So nothing yet. Waiting for them to start. Again, president sometimes is late apparently. Oh, see, we're waiting for him to speak. Yeah, I'm watching this Waiting for them to start. Yeah, look, here's silver. Silver's spiking up actually green on the day now. It's at 94.47s as we speak. 94.47s. Waiting for this to start. Oh, here it goes. All right, here it goes. Here we go. So
only twice. Both times it was Donald Trump. So when I asked to serve in this new role that I have, he was one of the first leaders I called and invited to return. I first met the president about 25 years ago, but I worked most closely with him during the early months of COVID. This was March 2020. Markets were under extreme stress. Some economists were warning we could be headed towards a second Great Depression. What stood out to me during the extraordinary period was a president's willingness to bring together people from governments, from business, across institutions, across perspective, to think differently, and importantly, to act decisively. That instinct to act, especially in pivotal moments, is one reason I think he values the World Economic Forum. It is a unique institution that brings together the largest combination of government officials, business leaders, technology leaders, civil society and NGO leaders, anywhere in the world for a genuine dialogue, and particularly
okay, look, I think
importantly this year.
here, guys, I think I found an earlier speech here that should be. Look, here it is. So this guy's a little bit late. I want you guys to have the most real-time speech. So I'm going to show you guys this one right here because this one's a little bit earlier. I might have to turn the volume up more, but this one's earlier. You want the earliest one. All right.
Well, thank you very much, Larry. It's great to be back in beautiful Davos, Switzerland, and to address so many respected business leaders, so many friends, few enemies, and all of the distinguished.
I don't know why it's so low.
Who's who, I will say that. I've come to this year's World Economic Forum with truly phenomenal news from America. Yesterday marked the one-year anniversary of my inauguration, and today, after 12 months back in the White House, our economy is booming, growth is exploding, productivity is surging, investment is soaring, incomes are rising, inflation has been defeated, our previously open and dangerous border is closed and virtually impenetrable. And the United States is in the midst of the fastest and most dramatic economic turnaround in our country's history. Under the Biden administration, America was plagued by the nightmare of stagflation, meaning low growth and high inflation, a recipe for misery, failure, and decline. But now, after just 1 year of my policies, we are witnessing the exact opposite. Virtually no inflation and extraordinarily high economic growth. Growth like I believe you'll see very shortly our country has never seen before, perhaps no country has ever seen before. Over the past 3 months, core inflation has been just 1.6%. Meanwhile, fourth quarter growth is projected to be 5.4%, far greater than anybody other than myself and a few others had predicted. Since the election, the stock market has set 52 all-time high records. So that's in 1 year, 52 records. adding $9 trillion in value to retirement accounts, 401ks, and people's savings. People are doing very well. They're very happy with me. Since my inauguration, we've lifted more than 1.2 million people off of food stamps, and after 4 years in which Biden secured less than $1 trillion of new investment in our country. Think of that, $1 trillion, substantially less than that. In 4 years, we've secured commitments for a record-breaking $18 trillion, and we think when the final numbers come out, they'll be closer to $20 trillion of investment. That's never been done by any country at any time, not even close. Just over 1 year ago, under the radical left Democrats, we were a dead country. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world. In fact, the United States economy is on pace to grow at double the rate that was projected by the IMF just last April. And with my growth and tariff policies, it should be much higher. I really believe we can be much higher than that. And this is all great news, and it's great for all nations. The USA is the economic engine on the planet, and when America booms, the entire world booms. It's been the history. When it goes bad, it goes bad. You all follow us down, and you follow us up, and we're at a point that I don't believe we've ever been. I never thought we could do it this quickly. My biggest surprise is I thought it would take more than a year, maybe like a year and 1 month. But it's happened very quickly. This afternoon, I want to discuss how we've achieved this economic miracle, how we intend to raise living standards for our citizens to levels never seen before, and perhaps how you too and the places where you come from can do much better by following what we're doing, because certain places in Europe are not even recognizable, frankly, anymore. They're not recognizable. And we can argue about it, but there's no argument. Friends come back from different places. I don't want to insult anybody and say I don't recognize it. And that's not in a positive way. That's in a very negative way. And I love Europe, and I want to see Europe go good, but it's not heading in the right direction. In recent decades, it became conventional wisdom in Washington and European capitals that the only way to grow a modern Western economy was through ever-increasing government spending, unchecked mass migration, and endless foreign imports. The consensus was that so-called dirty jobs and heavy industry should be sent elsewhere, that affordable energy should be replaced by the Green New Scam, and that countries could be propped up by importing new and entirely different populations from faraway lands. This was the path that Sleepy Joe Biden administration and many other Western governments very foolishly followed, turning their backs on everything that makes nations rich and powerful and strong. And there's so much potential in so many nations. The result was record budget and trade deficits and a growing sovereign deficit driven by the largest wave of mass migration in human history. We've never seen anything like it. Quite frankly, many parts of our world are being destroyed before our very eyes, and the leaders don't even understand what's happening. And the ones that do understand aren't doing anything about it. Virtually all of the so-called experts predicted my plans to end this failed model would trigger a global recession and runaway inflation. But we have proven them wrong. It's actually just the opposite. In 1 year, our agenda has produced a transformation like America has not seen in over 100 years. Instead of closing down energy plants, we're opening them up. Instead of building ineffective, money-losing windmills, we're taking them down and not approving any. Instead of empowering bureaucrats, we're firing them, and they're going out and getting jobs in the private sector for 2 and 3 times what they were making in government. So they started off hating me when we fired them, and now they love me. Instead of raising taxes on domestic producers, we're lowering them and raising tariffs on foreign nations to pay for the damage that they've caused. In 12 months, we have removed over 270,000 bureaucrats from the federal payrolls, the largest single-year reduction in government employment since the end of World War II. Nobody thought that was coming, but we had no choice. To make a country great, you can't have all federal jobs. We've cut federal spending by $100 billion and slashed the federal budget deficit by 27% in the single year. It's going to go down quite a bit more from that, driving inflation way down from the record highs of the Biden administration. Every month, they went up and up and up. I promised to cut 10 old regulations for every single new regulation, but instead I've cut, actually till this point, 129 regulations for every one new regulation approved. So every time they come in with a new regulation, we do at least 10, but so far it's averaging out to 129, if you can believe it. In July, we passed the largest tax cuts in American history, including no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. We also provided 100% expensing, that's the one they like, and bonus depreciation for all new equipment and capital investments to help companies expand and shift production to America. They are so in love with that. They build a plant, they're able to deduct it immediately, the whole thing, rather than waiting 38 to 41 years in the old days. This is a miracle taking place. Nobody thought it would ever be done by any country, but it's done by us. It was what made my first term the most successful 4-year term that we've ever had from a financial standpoint. And now we've upped it. This is a 10-year program, not a 1-year program. But you're allowed to deduct everything in 1 year. It used to be 38 to 41 years. With tariffs, we've radically reduced our ballooning trade deficit, which was the largest in world history. We were losing more than $1 trillion every single year, and it was just wasted. It was going to waste. But in 1 year, I slashed our monthly trade deficit by a staggering 77%, and all of this with no inflation. Something everyone said could not be done. There were a couple of brilliant people that actually thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was doing the right thing. Now they all think I'm doing the right thing because they can't believe the numbers. American exports are now up by more than $150 billion. Domestic steel production is up by 300,000 tons a month, and it's doubling over the next 4 months. It's doubling and tripling, and we have steel plants being built all over the country. Nobody thought they'd see that. Factory construction is up by 41%, and that number is really going to skyrocket right now because that's during a process that they're putting in to get their approvals, and we've given very, very quick, fast approvals. In the process, we've made historic trade deals with partners covering 40% of all U.S. trade. Some of the greatest companies and countries in the world. We have countries as our partner, too. The European nations, Japan, South Korea. They're our partners. They've gone into massive deals with us, especially on oil and gas. And these agreements raise growth and cause stock markets to boom, not only in the U.S., but virtually every country that came to make a deal, because, as you've learned, when the United States goes up, you follow. It's really become a staple. In America, I've stopped the nation-wrecking energy policies that drive up prices while sending jobs and factories to the world's worst polluters. They are indeed polluters. Under sleepy Joe Biden, new domestic oil and gas leases fell by 95%. Think of that. And they wonder, why was gasoline going up so fast? The gasoline actually topped $5 a gallon, and some places $7 a gallon, and more than 100 major power plants were violently shut down by incompetent people that had no idea what the hell they were doing. Under my leadership, U.S. natural gas production is at an all-time high, by far. U.S. oil production is up by 730,000 barrels a day, and last week we picked up 50 million barrels from Venezuela alone. Venezuela has been an amazing place for so many years, but then they went bad with their policies. 20 years ago, it was a great country, and now it's got problems, but we're helping them. And those 50 million barrels, we're going to be splitting up with them, and they'll be making more money than they've made in a long time. Venezuela is going to do fantastically well. We appreciate all of the cooperation we've been giving. We've been giving great cooperation. Once the attack ended, and they said, let's make a deal. More people should do that. But Venezuela is going to make more money in the next 6 months than they've made in the last 20 years. Every major oil company is coming in with us. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing to see. The leadership of the country has been very good. They've been very, very smart. The price of gasoline is now below $2.50 a gallon in many states, $2.30 a gallon in most states. Then we'll soon be averaging less than $2 a gallon. In many places, it's already down even lower, $1.95 a gallon. Numerous states are at $1.99, numbers that nobody has heard for years. Actually, since my last administration, we got it down to around those numbers. I've signed an order directing and approval of many new nuclear reactors. We're going heavy into nuclear. I was not a big fan because I didn't like the risk, the danger, but they have the progress they've made with nuclear is unbelievable, and the safety progress they've made is incredible. We're very much into the world of nuclear energy, and we can have it now at good prices and very, very safe. And we're leading the world in AI by a lot. We're leading China by a lot. I think President Xi respects what we've done, in part because I've allowed these big companies building these massive buildings to build their own electric capacity. They're building their own power plants, which when added up is more than any country anywhere in the world is doing. I read recently an article in the Wall Street Journal that China's creating so much energy, and they are. You got to hand it to them. But we're creating as much or more, and we're letting them do that. I'm very proud of it. It was my idea. I said, you can't create this much energy. We needed more than double the energy currently in the country just to take care of the AI plants. And I said, we can't do that. We have an old grid system. And I came up with the idea, you people are brilliant. You have a lot of money. Let's see what you can do. You can build your own electric generating plants. And they looked at me. They didn't believe me. All of the names that are, I think, in the room right now, if you want to know the truth, they didn't believe it. And I said, no, you can't. They came back 2 weeks and they didn't have the plant. They said, we thought you were kidding. I said, no, not only am I not kidding, you're going to have your approvals within 2 weeks. I always say nuclear will take 3 weeks. But most aren't going that. They're going oil and gas. They're even going coal in some cases. Because of my landslide election victory, the United States avoided the catastrophic energy collapse which befell every European nation that pursued the Green New Scam, perhaps the greatest hoax in history. The Green New Scam, windmills all over the place, destroy your land, destroy your land. Every time that goes around, you lose $1,000. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money. Here in Europe, we've seen the fate that the radical left tried to impose on America. They tried very hard. Germany now generates 22% less electricity than it did in 2017. And it's not the current chancellor's fault. He's solving the problem. He's going to do a great job. But what they did before he got there, I guess that's why he got there. And electricity prices are 64% higher. The United Kingdom produces just 1/3 of the total energy from all sources that it did in 1999. Think of that, 1/3. And they're sitting on top of the North Sea, one of the greatest reserves anywhere in the world, but they don't use it. And that's one reason why their energy has reached catastrophically low levels with equally high prices. High prices, very low levels. Think of that, 1/3. and you're sitting on top of the North Sea, and they like to say, well, you know, that's depleted. It's not depleted. It's got 500 years. They haven't even found the oil. The North Sea is incredible. They don't let anybody drill. Environmentally, they don't let them drill. They make it impossible for the oil companies to go. They take 92% of the revenues. So the oil companies say, we can't do it. They came to see me. Is there anything you can do? I want Europe to do great. I want UK to do great. They're sitting on one of the greatest energy sources in the world, and they don't use it. In fact, their electricity prices have soared 139%. There are windmills all over Europe. There are windmills all over the place, and they are losers. One thing I've noticed is that the more windmills a country has, the more money that country loses, and the worse that country is doing. China makes almost all of the windmills, and yet I haven't been able to find any wind farms in China. Did you ever think of that? It's a good way of looking at it. They're smart. China's very smart. They make them, they sell them for a fortune. They sell them to the stupid people that buy them, but they don't use them themselves. They put up a couple of big wind farms, but they don't use them. They just put them up to show people what they could look like. They don't spin. They don't do anything. They use a thing called coal, mostly. But China goes with the coal. They go with oil and gas. They're starting to look at nuclear a little bit, and they're doing just fine. They make a fortune selling the windmills, though, and I think really that's one that they wouldn't be surprised if it stopped. They are shocked that it continues to go. They're very friendly with me. They're shocked that people continue to buy those damn things. They killed the birds. They ruin your landscapes. Other than that, I think they're fabulous, by the way. Stupid people buy them. The consequences of such destructive policies have been stark, including lower economic growth, lower standards of living, lower birth rates, more socially disruptive migration, more vulnerability to hostile foreign adversaries, and much, much smaller militaries. The United States cares greatly about the people of Europe. We really do. I mean, look, I am derived from Europe. Scotland and Germany, 100% Scotland, my mother, 100% German, my father. And we believe deeply in the bonds we share with Europe as a civilization. I want to see it do great. That's why issues like energy, trade, immigration, and economic growth must be central concerns to anyone who wants to see a strong and united West, because Europe and those countries have to do their thing. They have to get out of the culture that they've created over the last 10 years. It's horrible what they're doing to themselves. They're destroying themselves. These beautiful, beautiful places. We want strong allies, not seriously weakened ones. We want Europe to be strong. Ultimately, these are matters of national security, and perhaps no current issue makes the situation more clear than what's currently going on with Greenland. Would you like me to say a few words of Greenland? I was going to leave it out of the speech, but I think I would have been reviewed very negatively. I have tremendous respect for both the people of Greenland and the people of Denmark, tremendous respect. But every NATO ally has an obligation to be able to defend their own territory. And the fact is, no nation or group of nations is in any position to be able to secure Greenland other than the United States. We're a great power, much greater than people even understand. I think they found that out 2 weeks ago in Venezuela. We saw this in World War II, when Denmark fell to Germany after just 6 hours of fighting and was totally unable to defend either itself or Greenland. So the United States was then compelled, we did it, we felt an obligation to do it, to send our own forces to hold the Greenland territory. And hold it we did, at great cost and expense. They didn't have a chance of getting on it, and they tried. Denmark knows that. We literally set up bases on Greenland for Denmark. We fought for Denmark. We weren't fighting for anyone else. We were fighting to save it for Denmark. Big, beautiful piece of ice. It's hard to call it land. It's a big piece of ice. But we saved Greenland and successfully prevented our enemies from gaining a foothold in our hemisphere. So we did it for ourselves also. And then after the war, which we won it big. Without us, right now you'd all be speaking German and a little Japanese, perhaps. After the war, we gave Greenland back to Denmark. How stupid were we to do that? But we did it. But we gave it back. But how ungrateful are they now? So now our country and the world face much greater risks than it did ever before because of missiles, because of nuclear, because of weapons of warfare that I can't even talk about. 2 weeks ago, they saw weapons that nobody ever heard of. They weren't able to fire one shot at us. They said, what happened? Everything was discombobulated. They said, we've got them in our sights. Press the trigger, and nothing happened. No anti-aircraft missiles went up. There was one that went up about 30 feet and crashed down right next to the people that sent it. They said, what the hell is going on? Those defensive systems were made by Russia and by China. So they're going to go back to the drawing boards, I guess. Greenland is a vast, almost entirely uninhabited and undeveloped territory that's sitting undefended in a key strategic location between the United States, Russia, and China. That's exactly where it is, right smack in the middle. Wasn't important nearly when we gave it back. You know, when we gave it back, it wasn't the same as it is now. It's not important for any other reason, you know. Everyone talks about the minerals. There's so many places. There's no rare earth. No such thing as rare earth. There's rare processing. But there's so much rare earth. And to get to this rare earth, you got to go through hundreds of feet of ice. That's not the reason we need it. We need it for strategic national security and international security. This enormous unsecured island is actually part of North America on the northern frontier of the Western Hemisphere. That's our territory. It is therefore a core national security interest of the United States of America. And in fact, it's been our policy for hundreds of years to prevent outside threats from entering our hemisphere. And we've done it very successfully. We've never been stronger than we are now. That's why American presidents have sought to purchase Greenland for nearly 2 centuries. You know, for 2 centuries they've been trying to do it. They should have kept it after World War II, but they had a different president. That's all right. People think differently. Much more necessary now than it was at that time, however. In 2019, Denmark said that they would spend over $200 million to strengthen Greenland's defenses. But as you know, they spent less than 1% of that amount. 1%. There's no sign of Denmark there. And I say that with great respect for Denmark, whose people I love, whose leaders are very good. It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States, just as we have acquired many other territories throughout our history, as many of the European nations have. They've acquired. There's nothing wrong with it. Many of them. Some went in reverse, actually, if you look. Some had great, vast wealth, great, vast lands all over the world. They went in reverse. They're stuck back where they started. That happens too. But some grow. But this would not be a threat to NATO. This would greatly enhance the security of the entire alliance, the NATO alliance. The United States is treated very unfairly by NATO. I want to tell you that. And when you think about it, nobody can dispute it. We give so much and we get so little in return. And I've been a critic of NATO for many years. And yet I've done more to help NATO than any other president by far, than any other person. You wouldn't have NATO if I didn't get involved in my first term. The war with Ukraine is an example. We are thousands of miles away, separated by a giant ocean. It's a war that should have never started, and it wouldn't have started if the 2020 U.S. presidential election weren't rigged. It was a rigged election. Everybody now knows that. They found out. People will soon be prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be. It was a rigged election. You can't have rigged elections. You need strong borders, strong elections, and ideally a good press. I always say it. Strong borders, strong elections, free, fair elections, and a fair media. The media is terrible. It's very crooked. It's very biased, terrible. But someday it'll straighten out because it's losing all credibility. Think of it, when I went in a landslide, a giant landslide, won all 7 swing states, won the popular vote, won everything, and they only get negative press. That means that it has no credibility. And if they're going to get credibility, they're going to have to be fair. So you need a fair press. But you also need those other elements. And I inherited a terrible, terrible situation. If you look, the border was open, the inflation was raging, everything was bad with the United States when I came into office. But I also inherited a mess with Ukraine and Russia, something that would have never happened. And I know Putin very well. He and I would discuss Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye, but he wasn't going to do anything. I said, Vladimir, you're not doing it. He would never have done it. It was terrible what happened. I could see it happening, too. After I left, I could see it happening. Biden had given Ukraine and NATO $350 billion, a staggering sum, $350 billion. I came in, and just like the southern border, just like inflation, just like our economy, I said, wow, this place is in trouble, meaning our country. All of these things were out of control. But the border was out of control. We fixed it with the strongest border anywhere in the world. And I've now been working on this war for 1 year, during which time I settled 8 other wars. India, Pakistan, I settled other wars that were, Vladimir Putin called me, Armenia, Azerbaijan. He said, I can't believe you settled that one. They were going on for 35 years. I settled it in 1 day. And President Putin called me. He said, you know, I can't believe I've worked on that war for 10 years trying to settle it. I couldn't do it. I said, do me a favor, focus on settling your war. Don't worry about that one. What does the United States get out of all of this work, all of this money, other than death, destruction, and massive amounts of cash going to people who don't appreciate what we do? They don't appreciate what we do. I'm talking about NATO. I'm talking about Europe. They have to work on Ukraine. We don't. The United States is very far away. We have a big, beautiful ocean separating us. We have nothing to do with it. Until I came along, NATO was only supposed to pay 2% of GDP. But they weren't paying. Most of the countries weren't paying anything. The United States was paying for virtually 100% of NATO. And I got that stopped. I said, that's not fair. But then, more importantly, I got NATO to pay 5%, and now they were paying, and now they are paying. So something nobody said was possible. They said, we will never go up higher than 2%. But they went to 5%, and now they're paying the 5%. They didn't pay the 2%, and now they're paying the 5%. And they're stronger for it, and they have an excellent, by the way, Secretary General, who's possibly in the room. Mark, are you here? Yes, he's here. Hello, Mark. We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force, where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it as a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others in World War II. We gave it back to them. We were a powerful force then, but we are a much more powerful force now, after I rebuilt the military in my first term and continue to do so today. We have a budget of $1.5 trillion. We're bringing back battleships. The battleship is 100 times more powerful than the great battleships you saw in World War II, those great, big, gorgeous ships, the Missouri, the Iowa, the Alabama. Because I thought maybe we could take them out of mothballs. They said, no, sir, these ships are 100, think of that, 100 times more powerful than those big, magnificent pieces of art that you saw so many times ago, that you still see on television. You say, wow, what a force. 100 times, each ship 100 times more powerful than the big battleships of the past. So that was the end of the mothball story. So what we have gotten out of NATO is nothing except to protect Europe from the Soviet Union and now Russia. I mean, we've helped them for so many years. We've never gotten anything, except we pay for NATO. And we paid for many years until I came along. We paid for, in my opinion, 100% of NATO because they weren't paying their bills. And all we're asking for is to get Greenland, including right title and ownership, because you need the ownership to defend it. You can't defend it on a lease. Number one, legally it's not defensible that way, totally. And number two, psychologically, who the hell wants to defend a license agreement or a lease, which is a large piece of ice in the middle of the ocean where if there is a war, much of the action will take place on that piece of ice. Think of it. Those missiles would be flying right over the center of that piece of ice. All we want from Denmark for national and international security and to keep our very energetic and dangerous potential enemies at bay is this land on which we're going to build the greatest golden dome ever built. We're building a golden dome that's going to, just by its very nature, going to be defending Canada. Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your Prime Minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. But they should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements. What we did for Israel was amazing, but that's nothing compared to what we have planned for the United States, Canada, and the rest of the world. We are going to build a dome like no other. We did it for Israel. And by the way, I told Bibi, stop taking credit for the dome. That's our technology. That's our stuff. But they had a lot of courage, and they were good fighters, and they did a good job, and we wiped out the Iran nuclear threat like nobody can believe. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. That, Venezuela, taking down Soleimani, wiping out al-Baghdadi when he tried to reinstitute ISIS. We did a lot. I did a lot of big things, all perfectly executed. Everyone was perfectly executed. Somebody told me that, a military expert told me, sir, everything you've done has been perfectly executed. I said, I know. So other presidents have spent, whether foolishly or not, trillions and trillions of dollars on NATO and gotten absolutely nothing in return. We've never asked for anything. It's always a one-way street. Now they want us to help them with Ukraine. And we say, we're going to. I'm really helping, not even them. I want to see, last week, if you saw, it was 10,000 soldiers, but last month it was 31,000 soldiers died. 31,000. That's this room times, the number of people in this room times 30. Think of it. 30,000 soldiers died in 1 month. The month before it was 27,000. The month before that it was 28,000. The month before that it was 25,000. It's a bloodbath. over there. And that's what I want to stop. It doesn't help the United States, but these are souls. These are young people. Look like you, look like some of you right in the front row. They go to war. Their parents are so proud. Oh, there he goes, comes back. 2 weeks later, they get a call, your son's head's been blown off. I want to stop it. It's a horrible war. It's the worst since World War II. They keep going, they'll exceed World War II. The numbers are staggering, how many people they've lost. They don't want to talk about it. Ukraine and Russia lost just tremendous amounts. And I'm dealing with President Putin, and he wants to make a deal, I believe. I'm dealing with President Zelensky, and I think he wants to make a deal. I'm meeting him today. He might be in the audience right now. But they got to get that war stopped because too many people are dying, needlessly dying. Too many souls are being lost. It's the only reason I'm interested in doing it. But in doing it, I'm helping Europe, I'm helping NATO, and I've until the last few days when I told them about Iceland, they loved me. They called me daddy, right, last time. A very smart man said, he's our daddy. He's running it. I was like running it. I went from running it to being a terrible human being. But now what I'm asking for is a piece of ice, cold and poorly located, that can play a vital role in world peace and world protection. It's a very small ask compared to what we have given them for many, many decades. But the problem with NATO is that we'll be there for them 100%. But I'm not sure that they'd be there for us. If we gave them the call, gentlemen, we are being attacked. We're under attack by such and such a nation. I know them all very well. I'm not sure that they'd be there. I know we'd be there for them. I don't know that they'd be there for us. So with all of the money we expend, with all of the blood, sweat, and tears, I don't know that they'd be there for us. They're not there for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland. So Iceland's already cost us a lot of money. But that dip is peanuts compared to what it's gone up. And we have an unbelievable future in that stock. That stock market is going to be doubled. We're going to hit 50,000, and that stock market's going to double in a relatively short period of time because of everything that's happening. But this is a good example. After giving NATO and European nations trillions and trillions of dollars in defense, they buy our weapons. We make the greatest weapons in the world, but now we're going to make them faster, much faster. You saw that. I put a cap on the salaries, and I put no buybacks, no stock buybacks, no various other things that they were doing. I mean, they were making $50 million, but it would take them 3 years to give you a Patriot missile. I said, that's not good. My chauffeur can do a better job than that, and he makes slightly less than 50. They make big salaries. If they're going to make those big salaries, they're going to have to produce a lot faster. The good news is we have the greatest equipment in the world. Now we're going to start making it a lot faster. They're going to build additional plants. And all of the money that goes into stock buybacks is going to go into building plants. We're not allowing stock buybacks by defense companies any longer. They're going to build new plants to make Tomahawks, Patriots. We have the best equipment, F-35s, F-47, the new one just coming out. They say it's the most devastating plane, fighter jet ever. Who knows? They called it 47. If I don't like it, I'm going to take the 47 off it. I wonder why they called it 47. We'll have to think about that. But if I don't like it, I'm going to take that 47 off. But it's supposed to be the Stage 6. It's supposed to be the first Stage 6 plane, undetectable, like our B-2 bombers were undetectable. They flew right over Iran. They were undetectable. And they did their job, and they got the hell out of there. So we want a piece of ice for world protection, and they won't give it. We've never asked for anything else, and we could have kept that piece of land, and we didn't. So they have a choice. You can say yes, and we will be very appreciative, or you can say no, and we will remember. A strong and Secure America means a strong NATO. And that's one reason why I'm working every day to ensure our military is very powerful, our borders are very strong, and above all, our economy is strong because national security requires economic security and economic prosperity, and we have the greatest that we've ever had. Biden and his allies destroyed our economy and gave us perhaps the worst inflation in American history. They say 48 years, I say forever, but I think 48 years is the equivalent to forever. Whether it's 48 years or ever, it's terrible, costing the typical family $33,000. What they did to this country should never, ever be forgotten. It's early, but he has to be rated as the worst president we've ever had by far. The auto pen did much of the damage. The auto pen, he was the auto pen president, because I don't believe a sane president would have ever signed the kind of things that he signed. But now grocery prices, energy prices, airfares, mortgage rates, rent, and car payments are all coming down, and they're coming down fast. We inherited a mess, but we've done a hell of a job in 12 months. Under my most favored nation policy for drug prices, the cost of prescription drugs is coming down by up to 90%, depending on the way you calculate. You could also say 5, 6, 7, 800%. There are two ways of figuring that. But we have a favored nations policy that every president wanted, no president was able to get. I got it, and other nations approved it. And I had to use tariffs in order to get it because they said, no way. In other words, a pill that costs 10% in London costs $130. Think it costs $10 in London, costs $130 in New York or in Los Angeles. And I'd say, boy, that's bad. Friends of mine would say, you know, we go to London, you can buy the stuff for nothing. We go all over the world, we can buy it for nothing. Because basically America was subsidizing every nation in the world. Because presidents allowed them to get away with it. It became very tough. So when I called up Emmanuel Macron, I watched him yesterday with those beautiful sunglasses. What the hell happened? But I watched him sort of be tough. But he was at $10 for a pill. And I said, Emmanuel, and I have all the big pharmaceutical companies are in total agreement. It wasn't easy, by the way. They're tough, smart. They've been getting away with the scam for a long time. But they gave it up. But they said, you'll never get the countries to approve it. I said, why is that? Because they won't. They always said, we're not paying any more. Get the rest for the United States. So over the years, they stayed the same. We just went up, up, up. And I mean, we would pay 13, 14, 15 times more than some certain countries would. So I said, no, they'll approve it 100%. Sir, you'll never get them to approve it. I said, I guarantee you. But I actually started with Emmanuel, who probably is in the room too. And I like him. I actually like him. Hard to believe, isn't it? And I said, Emmanuel, you're going to have to lift the price of that pill to $20, maybe $30. Think of that. That means it's a doubling of prescription drugs. Might be a tripling, might be a quadrupling. It's not easy. No, 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 Donald, I will not do that. I said, yes, you will, 100%. He said, no, no, no. You're asking me to double. I said, Emmanuel, you've been taking advantage of the United States for 30 years with prescription drugs. You really should do it, and you will do it. I have no doubt. In fact, I am 100% sure you're going to. No, 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 I will not do it. Because he has to, in all fairness to him, he has to double or triple. Because the world being a bigger place than the United States, it's not that you meet in the middle. You just have to go up some, and we come down a lot. They go up a little, we come down a lot. So we're at $130, they're at 10. So they may have to go to 20 or 30. No more than that. I said, Emmanuel, you're going to be doubling or tripling? No, no, no. I said, here's the story, Emmanuel. The answer is you're going to do it fast. And if you don't, I'm putting a 25% tariff on everything that you sell into the United States and a 100% tariff on your wines and champagnes. and that's about 10 times more than what I'm requesting. And you're going to do it. I don't want to go public with it, but you may make me do that. No, Donald, I will do it. I will do it. It took me, on average, 3 minutes a country, saying the same thing. You will do it. They all said, no, I will not do it. You're asking me to double the cost of prescription. I said, that's right, because you've been screwing us for 30 years. And they said, we will not do it. I said, that's all right. On Monday morning, we're putting a 25, 30, 50, I gave different numbers for different countries. This is also national security we're talking about. Not fair. We're not going to subsidize the whole world. And every one of those countries have agreed to do it. So one of the biggest things that I've done is the fact that we have now most favored nation. We will pay whatever the lowest price is in the entire world. So our drug prices are going to be coming down by staggering 90%. Again, you could say 1,000%, 2,000%. Depends on the way you want to figure it, but we'll go with the way the fake news likes it better because it sounds, can you imagine a 90% reduction sounds much worse. But drug prices are going to be coming down tremendously in all the nations, and I appreciate them doing it, but they did it. In all fairness, without tariffs, I wouldn't have been able to get it done. After declining $3,000 under Biden, real incomes are up in the United States by $2,000, $3,000, and even $5,000 and more. Home ownership has always been a symbol of health and vigor of American society, but that goal fell out of reach for millions and millions of people in the Biden era because interest rates went up so high. Today, I'm taking action to bring back this bedrock of the American dream. In recent years, Wall Street giants and institutional investment firms, many of you are here, many of you are good friends of mine, many of you are supporters. Sorry to do this to you, I'm so sorry. But you've driven up housing prices by purchasing hundreds of thousands of single-family homes, and it's been a great investment for them. Often as much as 10% of houses on the market. You know, the crazy thing is a person can't get depreciation on a house, but when a corporation buys it, they get depreciation. Okay, that's something we're going to have to think about too. I don't know if too many people think about that. You buy a corporation, they buy 500 houses, they buy hundreds of thousands, they buy 500 houses, they can take depreciation. A person sweats and works and buys one house, they can't. But homes are built for people, not for corporations, and America will not become a nation of renters. We're not going to do that. That's why I have signed an executive order banning large institutional investors from buying single-family homes. It's just not fair to the public. They're not able to buy a house. And I'm calling on Congress to pass that ban into permanent law, and I think they will. One of the biggest barriers to saving for a down payment has been surging credit card debt. The profit margin for credit card companies now exceeds 50%, one of the biggest. And they charge Americans interest rates of 28%, 30%, 31%, 32%. Whatever happened to usury? So to help our citizens recover from the Biden disaster, all caused by this horrible president, just horrible president, I'm asking Congress to cap credit card interest rates at 10% for 1 year. And this will help millions of Americans save for a home. They have no idea they're paying 28%. They go out there a little late in their payment and they end up losing their house. It's terrible. To unleash innovation and savings and financing, I'm also working to ensure America remains the crypto capital of the world. And to that end, last year I signed the Landmark Genius Act into law. Now Congress is working very hard on crypto market structure legislation, Bitcoin, all of them, which I hope to sign very soon, unlocking new pathways for Americans to reach financial freedom. And I did it for two reasons. Number one, I thought it was politically good, and it was. I got tremendous political support. But more importantly, China wanted that market too. It's just like they want the AI. And we've got that market, I think, pretty well locked up. If I didn't do it, Biden was totally against it until before the election when they realized that, there were millions of people voting against him over crypto. And all of a sudden they loved it very much, but it was too late. They blew it. But it is politically popular, but it's much more importantly, we have to make it so that China doesn't get the hold of it. And once they have that hold, we're not going to be able to get it back. So I'm honored to have done it. Finally, I've instructed government-backed institutions to purchase up to $200 billion in mortgage bonds to bring down interest rates. And I'll be announcing a new Fed chairman in the not-too-distant future. I think he'll do a very good job. See, I gave away some of it. I did give that away. So we have something, got something, but somebody that's very respected. They're all respected. They're all great. Everyone that I interviewed is great. Everyone could do, I think, a fantastic job. Problem is they change once they get the job. They do. They're saying everything I want to hear, and then they get the job. They're locked in for 6 years. They get the job, and all of a sudden, let's raise rates a little bit. I call them, sir, we'd rather not talk about this. It's amazing how people change once they have the job, but it's too bad. Sort of disloyalty, but they got to do what they think is right. We have a terrible chairman right now. Jerome, too late Powell. He's always too late. And he's very late with interest rates, except before the election, he was just fine for the other side. So we're going to have somebody that's great, and we hope he does the right job. Last week, the average 30-year mortgage rate dropped below 6% for the first time in many years. Another major factor in driving up housing costs was the mass invasion of our borders. And I have to say one thing about housing, because nobody ever says this. I am very protective of people that already own a house, of which we have millions and millions and millions. And because we have had such a good run, the house values have gone up tremendously. And these people have become wealthy. They weren't wealthy. They become wealthy because of their house. And every time you make it more and more and more affordable for somebody to buy a house cheaply, you're actually hurting the value of those houses, obviously, because the one thing works in tandem with the other. And I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt the value of people that own a house, who for the first time in their lives are walking around the streets of whatever city they're in, very proud that their house is worth $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. Now, if I want to really crush the housing market, I could do that so fast that people could buy houses, but you would destroy a lot of people that already have houses. In some cases, they've mortgaged their house, and the mortgage would be very low, and all of a sudden the mortgage without any changes becomes very high, and they end up losing the house. I'm not going to hurt, and I speak with Scott, who's doing a fantastic job, and Howard, who's doing a fantastic job, and all of my people. And I always say, look, I can crush the hell out of the market. We can drop interest rates to a level, and that's one thing we do want to do. That's natural. That's good for everybody. The dropping of the interest rates, we should be paying a much lower interest rate than we are. We should be paying the lowest interest rate of any country in the world, because without the United States, you don't have a country. I had a case with Switzerland. We happened to be in Switzerland. Maybe I'll give you a quick story. But they were paying nothing. They make beautiful watches, great watches, Rolex, all of them. They were paying nothing to the United States when they sent their product in. And we had a $41 billion deficit. $41 billion with this beautiful place. Flew over it, isn't it nice? So I said, let's put a 30% tariff on them so that we get back some of it, not all of it at all. We'd still have a deficit, big deficit. We had 41 million. That's a big deficit. And I said, let's put a tariff on. Different tariffs, different places. You're all party to them. In some cases, victims to them. But in the end, it's a fair thing. And most of you realize that. But we put a 30% tariff on Switzerland, and all hell broke loose. They were calling, like you wouldn't believe. And I know so many people from Switzerland, incredible place, incredible, brilliant place. But I then realized that they're only good because of us. And there's so many other examples. I mean, us and probably other places, but a majority of the money they make is because of us, because we never charged them anything. So they come in, they sell their watches, no tariffs, no nothing. They walk away, they make $41 billion on just us. So I said, no, we can't do that. So I'm going to bring it up. I still would have a deficit pretty substantial, but I brought it up to 30%. And I guess Prime Minister, I don't think President, I think Prime Minister called a woman, and she was very repetitive. She said, no, 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 you cannot do that, 30%. You cannot do that. We are a small, small country. I said, yeah, but you have a big, big deficit. You may be small, but you have a bigger deficit than big countries. He said, no, 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 please, you cannot do it. Kept saying the same thing over and over. We are a small country. I said, but you're a big country in terms of, and she just rubbed me the wrong way, I'll be honest with you. And I said, all right, thank you, ma'am, appreciate it. Do not do this. Thank you very much, ma'am. And I made it 39%. And then all hell really broke out. And I was paid visits by everybody. Rolex came to see me. They all came to see me. But I realized, and I reduced it, because I don't want to hurt people. I don't want to hurt them. And we brought it down to a, lower level. Doesn't mean it's not going up, but we brought it down to a lower level. But they pay now, tariff. But I realized that we have many places like that where they're making a fortune because of the United States. Without the United States, they wouldn't be making anything. Think of it. Switzerland made $41 billion on us. And as she said, it's a small place. And I realized with that, I don't know, it was so, because she was so aggressive. And I realized in that conversation that the United States is keeping the whole world afloat. Many places, I could give you 6, 7 places just in the people in this little area. I know every one of them. They're looking down. They don't want to see me, and they don't want to stare me in the eyes. But they're taking advantage of, everybody took advantage of the United States. But I've been very fair, and I gave them a tariff, and it was fine. But I realized that without us, it's not Switzerland anymore. Without us, it's not any of the countries that are represented here. And we want to work with the countries. We want to work with them. We're not looking to destroy them. I could have said 39, 40%. I could have said I want a 70% tariff, then we make money with Switzerland. But Switzerland would have been probably destroyed, financially destroyed. I don't want to do that. But we should be paying the lowest interest rate of everybody. I hope Scott's listening to this, because we should be paying the lowest interest rate of everybody. Without us, most of the countries don't even work. And then you have the protection factor. Without our military, which is the greatest in the world by far, without our military, you have threats that you wouldn't believe. You wouldn't believe. You don't have threats because of us, and that's because of NATO. And one other thing, and I have to say it so importantly, in the old days, and I used to say I'm the youngest in the room. Now I'm among the older. I hate to say it. I don't feel old, but I'm among the older. But I remember not long ago, 20, 25 years ago, when good news came out about, let's say, the United States. The United States had a great quarter. The United States had a great month. All the stocks went up. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Now when they say, the United States had a record quarter, it's unbelievable how well it's doing, all the stocks crash because they say, oh no, inflation, they're going to raise interest rates. And they do. Some of these stupid people like Powell, they raise interest rates. And what they do is they stop you from being successful. It used to be when we had a great quarter, a great month, great earnings, great anything, any good news, the stock market went up. That's the way it's going to be. We got to do that again, because that's the way it should be. Now when we have a great month, they want to kill it. Like we did over 5%. People were surprised. We should do 20%. We could do 25%. when we announce good numbers, and the reason is they're so petrified of inflation. And growth doesn't mean inflation. We've had tremendous growth with very low inflation. In fact, growth can fight inflation, proper growth. So we want to get back to the days when we announce great numbers, because we're going to be announcing phenomenal. You know, all these factories that are being built at record, thousands of businesses are being built right now. Remember, $18 trillion is invested. I think the second number is 3, and that was China many years ago. Investments in the country from outside. 18 trillion, nobody's ever seen. And that's money coming in and building things, factories. Thousands of businesses are being built, thousands. Hundreds of big factories, car plants are moving back to the United States. They're coming in from Canada, they're coming in from Mexico, from Japan. Japan's coming in and building plants here in order to avoid tariffs. They're coming in from China, they're coming in from all over the world. We have more plants being built now, car plants, than we've ever had built, even in the heyday from the 1940s and 50s. And they're bigger. They don't use renovations anymore where they take an old plant, they rip it down, they build a brand new plant, super modern plant. But it's happening at levels that nobody's ever seen. In 2024, the U.S. built less than 2 million new homes, but Biden admitted more than 8 million new migrants. And those days are over. In 2025, for the first time in 50 years, the United States had reverse migration. Boy, that was nice. And these were criminals that were being taken out of our country because they allowed people to come into our country from jails, from gangs, drug dealers, murderers. 11,888 murderers. We've gotten most of them out. And then ICE gets beat up by stupid people from leadership in Minnesota. We actually are helping Minnesota so much, but they don't appreciate it. Most places do. You know, Washington, D.C. is the safest place now in the United States. It was a very dangerous place to walk, and now you can walk with your wife, your kids, right through the middle of the city. Right now, Washington, D.C. is as safe as it gets. It was one of the most unsafe, I had to admit. We sent in the military, the National Guard. Within 2 months, it was great. Within 3 months, it's like a really great place and a safe place and a beautiful place. It's even been cleaned up. The graffiti's gone. The fences are gone. We don't have to worry about fences anymore. All of the places, the grasses are cut and replaced with new grass in many cases. It's all going to happen in the spring. But Washington and D.C. is beautiful again, and it's safe. New restaurants are opening up. They're all closing. Now you can't get into a restaurant. Restaurants in Washington, D.C. are all opening. Memphis also, Memphis, Tennessee, New Orleans, Louisiana. We're there for 3 weeks. We've cut the crime down by 64%. Within another month, we'll have virtually no crime there. We can do that all over. We're going to help the people in California. We want to have no crime. I know Gavin was here. I used to get along so great with Gavin when I was president. Gavin's a good guy. And we're going to, if he needed it, I would do it in a heartbeat. I'd love to see. We did help them a lot in Los Angeles, a lot with the early in my term when they had some problems. But we would love to do it. I will say this, if I were a Democrat governor or whatever, I would call up Trump. I'd say, come on in, make us look good. Because we're cutting crime down to nothing. And we're taking people out, career criminals, who are only going to do bad things, and we're bringing them back to their countries. But where we've done it, it's been amazing. And we have a capacity to do it at much greater levels. We're cutting illegal aliens off welfare and other government benefits, and I have directed that starting immediately, there will be no more payments to sanctuary cities because they are really just sanctuaries for criminals. They're really protecting criminals, and those are the ones we have to get out of the country. Murderers, drug dealers, the mentally insane. They emptied their mental institutions into the United States. And despite that, we have the lowest crime numbers that we've ever had in the history of the country. Just came out. But equally importantly, we're cracking down on more than $19 billion in fraud that was stolen by Somalian bandits. Can you believe that Somalian? They turned out to be higher IQ than we thought. I always say these are low IQ people. How did they go into Minnesota and steal all that money? And we have, they're pirates, they're good pirates, right? But we shoot them out of the water just like we shoot the drug boats out. They're not pirating too many boats lately, do you notice? When they go out into those boats, they want to take over a $1.5 billion tanker loaded up with oil, and they say, we're going to blow up your boat. They have powerful weapons. You hit the side of the boat, you blow the whole thing up. The insurance companies are petrified, so they say, just give them the boat, we'll give them money instead. And I don't do that. We blow them right the hell out of the water. We see them going out, we blow them out of the water. We don't have any pirates so much anymore. If we do, they won't be there long. We've cut down with the hitting of the boats that are loaded up with drugs, including submarines. Can you believe they actually buy small, they call them mini subs, very fast. They're meant for drugs. We've knocked out 2 of them. The Democrats say they were fishing. You have ruined somebody's fishing weekend, I would say. A submarine is not a fishing boat. You don't fish. But we've knocked down drugs by water, the oceans, the sea, by 97.2%. Think of that. And I actually say, who the hell are the 3%? Because I would not want to be piloting one of those boats. We knocked them down, and now we're going to start on land. We're going to knock it all out. The land is the easy part. What we did on sea is incredible, and that's our great military. The situation in Minnesota reminds us that the West cannot mass import foreign cultures, which have failed to ever build a successful society of their own. I mean, we're taking people from Somalia, and Somalia is a failed, it's not a nation. Got no government, got no police, got no military, got no nothing. And then we have this fake congressperson who they just reported is worth $30 million. You believe this? Ilhan Omar, talking about the Constitution provides me. She comes from a country that's not a country, and she's telling us how to run America. Not going to get away with it much longer, let me tell you. The explosion of prosperity and conclusion and progress that built the West did not come from our tax codes. It ultimately came from our very special culture. This is the precious inheritance that America and Europe have in common. We share it. We share it, but we have to keep it strong. We have to become stronger, more successful, and more prosperous than ever. We have to defend that culture and rediscover the spirit that lifted the West from the depths of the Dark Ages to the pinnacle of human achievement. We live in an incredible, changing period. It's an unbelievable time, but we have to take advantage of the time that we're in. In our hands are technologies that our ancestors could scarcely have. I mean, they couldn't have even dreamt some of the things that we see today. And so rapidly they're produced. I mean, AI, 2 years ago, nobody ever heard of the term, and now everybody's talking about it. And it can have some very good purpose. It could also have some dangerous purpose, and for that we have to watch out. But some tremendous things are happening because of it. And we're leading by so much. We're doing so well. But opportunities that are bigger and grander than ever before in human history are right before us. It is the pioneers in this room. Many of you in this room are true pioneers. You're two truly brilliant people. Just your ability to get a ticket is brilliant because you have about 50 people for every seat. I don't know what, that's Larry. Everything Larry touches turns to gold. He made this very successful. But you're in this room, and some of you are the greatest leaders anywhere in the world. You're the greatest brains anywhere in the world. And the future is unlimited, and to a large part because of you, and we have to protect you, and we have to cherish you. I always say we have to cherish our brilliant people because there aren't many of them. So together with confidence, boldness, and persistence, let us lift up our people, grow our economies, defend our shared destiny, and build a future for our citizens that is more ambitious, more exciting, more inspiring, and greater than the world has ever seen. We're in a position to do things that nobody else has ever even thought of before. And many of the people in this room are the ones that are doing it, and I want to congratulate you, and I'm with you all the way. You can do things that nobody else can even think about. So I congratulate you on your tremendous success. And The United States is back, bigger, stronger, better than ever before, and I'll see you around. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much.
Woo. All right, guys. So that is the end of the speech. Man, that thing was long. Look, I'm not picking sides. I'm pretty neutral in all this stuff. But markets are actually up a little bit. Bitcoin originally went up when he started speaking at like, right, yeah, so Bitcoin went up as he started speaking. And it's still up. NASDAQ is reaching higher here. Gold is kind of flat, which, if markets start going up, gold is going to go down. I think some of the good things he said, he's not going to invade Greenland. Obviously, I think that's good. I would rather us not. And so it looks like he's just going to try to buy it, which is fine. Look, he can try to do whatever he wants to do. I mean, look, I'm curious about how markets are going to interpret that. I think markets probably are going to interpret him not being super forceful with it is going to be an optimistic good thing. We also have tech rebounding here. We had a lot of tech stocks. I'm going to get rid of some of these labels here. But we had a lot of tech stocks start to rally. So just to put this into perspective, here is Netflix is back up some after opening up red from yesterday's earnings report that lowered guidance for this year. We see Alphabet stock is flying up to 324s. We have Meta stock down on the day. Microsoft stock down on the day. We did see like AMD and MU and some other microchip stocks run, but the NASDAQ was already down basically to 25,000 today. So again, listen, tomorrow, guys, we have PCE inflation and GDP data coming out at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. So if you want somebody that's going to cover it, explain it, and drop it live as soon as it's released, you guys can interpret it, digest it, watch what markets do, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. Interesting speech. He covered a wide array of topics. I can see a lot of people disagree, a lot of people agree, and again, I'm neutral in all this stuff. I just wanted to see how markets respond. This speech was market moving, and so I'm curious to see what happens. But so far, the Nasdaq is up. Nasdaq is up to 25,300s or so, just under that. We are going to day trade a little bit if you want to stick around and watch us trade some of these stocks. We did invest a little bit. We added to Netflix this morning, and now we're almost flat on the day in stocks, which is great. What was a pretty red day is now almost flat. So that's good. We'll see if markets hold. And again, guys, remember, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, we have GDP data and PCE inflation data going live. Again, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. So we got stuff going on tomorrow. It's the biggest day of economic reports outside of the speech today for the week. We don't really have that much Friday, but tomorrow we get two major reports. We get Q3 GDP and PCE inflation. PCE is what's called the personal consumption expenditure. It's what the Federal Reserve uses to gauge inflation, at least some. They look at CPI as well, but core PCE is the big one. Core excludes food and energy prices because food and energy are the most volatile and they kind of swing the most, right? So core PCE inflation, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Markets are mostly going up after this. I mean, just to be fair, markets were down drastically yesterday. Yesterday was the single biggest red day since October yesterday. So markets are already down. I think we might fill the gap some on the upside just based off of just being so deeply red on the day. But yeah, markets are down. They're starting to rebound a little bit. Oh, so if the president's going to sit down and take questions, I mean, I can stream that as well, but I don't know if I'm going to, guys. I think I'm just going to shut it down after that big long speech. Not shut it down, but just put the speech up. I'm trying to trade at least a little bit. Let's see.
Because wars are the worst of all.
Let me turn the volume down. I had to turn the volume way up because it was the fastest stream we had, So I had to turn the volume way up just to get it to work. And so before I start playing this speech, curious to see what the market does. I might day trade a little bit now. And again, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell, guys. We're going to cover all this stuff live as soon as it drops. The president is done doing his pre-written. I don't know if it was pre-written. The end of it did not sound pre-written. Let's see what he's talking about right now, though. lower this a little bit here.
But we need a little luck. We don't want to get hit by something that nobody could have thought. Whoever thought we were going to hit by a pandemic? You know, when I heard the word pandemic.
Oh, he's talking about. I don't really want to get into all that. Yeah, here, let me fix this a little bit here. But I appreciate you guys joining me for this. This was a interesting stream. Yeah, this stream was chaos. PCE data does not come out in 6 minutes, guys. Today's Wednesday, not Thursday. PCE inflation data comes out on Thursday. Pretty sure. Let me make sure. I mean, look, we got 4 minutes left. Let's do it. I'm pretty sure PCE inflation is coming out tomorrow. I'd be disappointed if they just kind of blindly released it today. Yeah, PCE inflation coming out tomorrow. It's expected at 0.2% for core PCE month over month and 2.7% year over year. The only thing that we have coming out in 4 minutes is we have construction spending month over month set to release for October. It's expected at 0.1% in 4 minutes. And we also have pending home sales coming out in 4 minutes. But again, PCE inflation is not coming out today. Even if the PCE report is dropped by what's called the Bureau of Economic Analysis. If we look at the BEA, you can actually see the news release schedule. And so again, quarter 3 GDP and personal income, which is PCE inflation data, is coming out January 22nd at 10 at 10 a.m. So tomorrow at 8:30 we got GDP data, and then tomorrow at 10 a.m. we're gonna have PCE inflation. PCE inflation arguably more influential than GDP, but it'll be curious to see what GDP shows as well. But yeah. Freeman only found you today. Subscribed. Hey, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Welcome, dude. Welcome. Yeah, so the president said U.S. could balance the budget by cutting fraud, cutting expenses, and key tariffs to help pay off debt. He said U.S. growth will offset debt. Growth is the way out. Growth is the only way out of our debt. We are cutting expenses. We're poised to have an economy like no other. Is basically what he's saying here. Do you want to trade some today? Let me see where we're looking like markets here. So I do want to see what we're looking like. I am red on the day though. But the NASDAQ is just up. Like, look at the NASDAQ pump. NASDAQ is just higher. So we can maybe try to take a trade. But I don't want to give two back. We've honestly, prior to today, I don't want to ruin it. We have had, this is our green streak leading into today. And again, I don't want to be so desperate to keep this green streak. We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a row green. Today would be one red. But I don't want to give it back. I don't want to give too much back trying to attack this here. So we are starting to fill the gap. If I do take some trades, I got a long up here. I'd probably short where we're at now because we're up so much. Maybe I'll have a little bit more edge on the downside, which is what I just did here. Look, we're up $100. We'll cover some more just based off of this volatility. And see if we can drop some more. I might actually add to this here. You guys can't see. We just made about $100 just now, but we are starting to push up. I'm going to short a little bit more here, see if we start retracing back down. Go. I'm going to cut half of that. Go. I'll give it a second to come back down here, though, and then we'll hold the rest break even. I don't know if I'm green on the day. I should be. See what happens. I mean, the only problem with shorting something like this is you got to be quick because sometimes the market can just rip up fast too. I don't want that necessarily to happen. So my hand's over the cover button. If we do start to push up, I'm just going to sell. And I'm going to cut it right there. Let's see if we're green. They know. I don't know how much I just made on that trade. 46, 80. Just okay. Yeah, it looks like we got it on time. We made about $100. But the NASDAQ is just surging up here, just surging up. So we're basically, what's going on? SX trying to push higher. It does. All right, so I think we're actually green on the day. Yeah, look, now we're technically green on the day. So the green streak is still alive today. We'll see if we can continue it. We've had 1, 2, 3, 7 green days in a row now. 7. Yeah, it's Greenland in my trading lately. Guys, was that too much of a dad joke? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Somebody in the chat said it. I had to kind of steal their joke. Hey, thank you, some random dude. Yeah, we try to cover market news. We trade live. Like, we cover anything going on. So construction spending at 0.5% versus 0.1% expected. A little bit higher. U.S. pending home sales are down 3%. Previously, were up 2.6%. So pending home sales down 3%. That's interesting. And if we look at Bitcoin here, Bitcoin at 89.60. So Bitcoin has reacted well to all the stuff going on. Some data. Hey, look, I'm sorry, guys. Listen, I'm a dad, bro. I tell dad jokes here. My kids hate me, but that's okay. You know, they love me, but they, you know, I'm hilarious. They'll get over it. Honestly, my stock portfolio is now technically green on the day. It's mostly driven by Nike, PayPal, Treasury bonds, honestly. My Netflix ads that I got in earlier. Yeah, we got that ice storm coming here. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, though. I'm not really used to ice. In Baton Rouge, if we get just a little bit of ice, it's like freaking Armageddon in Baton Rouge. You know, nobody knows how to drive. Every school shut down, like everything happens. But again, I think the big story from today's speech is specifically that he's not going to invade Greenland, which is good. I think that's why markets are reacting so well to this, is specifically because he's not going to invade Greenland. What it is. So. Yeah, y'all just be careful this weekend. Again, U.S. pending home sales fell 9.3% month over month to negative 3%. It was only expected to decline 0.3%. It ended up dropping 10x that 3%. Last time was 2.6% positive. So pending home sales down drastically. That's kind of the scary dynamic here. So, ooh. All right, guys. Again, tomorrow, PC inflation and GDP data comes out. Again, PC inflation comes out at 8:30 or at 10 a.m. tomorrow. See what happens. But again, we got inflation data tomorrow and more. So. All right, guys. So what happens now, guys? Yeah, we do have PCE and GDP data tomorrow. We will see what we get. We're gonna start the stream early. But man, things are mostly settling down a little bit. Still rising. Google's still up a lot. Alphabet's still up a lot. Netflix is now... I'm now technically green in my Netflix position here. Yeah, the big news, we're not invading Greenland. I think that's what's benefiting the market right now, is that we are not invading Greenland. And so that's kind of what's benefiting things. But again, tomorrow we have GDP and PC inflation data, 8:30. So stick around. We'll see what we get tomorrow, guys. Y'all be good. Hey, I love you all. Have a great day. Again, follow me on x.com @beginnertrades. I appreciate it. Yeah. See what happens. Because remember, guys, we are now the hottest country in the world. We are now the hottest country in the world. So remember that. It's all love. Hey, I love you all. Have a great day. Again, remember, I am not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Make your own assessment. Trade smart. Y'all be good. Yeah. Cheers to you. Again, as soon as I close the stream, it'll bring you to tomorrow's stream. So y'all sit tight on tomorrow's streams. Again, no bathroom breaks. I don't, no music either. You wait until tomorrow on that stream. Focus, guys. Focus. Tomorrow's a big day. I'll see you guys later. Y'all be good. Have a great day. I know I'm still here. I'm trying to make sure the redirect works. Hold on. I gotta make sure the redirect works. I'm pretty sure it does. Hold on. Okay, it did work. Yeah. All right.